Today we'll begin with, or we'll begin at Apapa Ports. There are reports that there's a gridlock that's affecting visitors to the shopping mall in Apapa.
Yeah.
How much longer do you think businesses can remain at the mall before they pack up and leave due to this constraints with traffic and all?
All right. Well, the issue about the Papa gridlock is not a new phenomenon. It has always been like this for a long time now. So, basically, this can be attributed to two factors:
Hmm.
bad roads, which is slowing down movement of vehicles, and also the concentration of a lot of companies in the Papa region, especially the consumer goods company. So a lot of consumer good companies try to source, they get their materials from foreign countries, and then bringing them through the ports is really a big problem because you have a lot of concentrations of these companies like flour mills and the likes, trying to get their product from these places.
Hmm.
And then in order to get their products, they also have to go through these bad roads, which is creating a lot of
Yeah.
congestions. So also they have their plants established close to this port, and then you can see that putting all this together, they have to get these raw materials, move them back to their plant, using still these bad roads, and then still producing and then trying to move it back to the consumers, the final consumers. So a lot of activities are going on and
Mm.
really impacting on the Apapa gridlock really strongly because for instance, we believe that the completion of the Lekki port,
Mm.
which is expected to be completed around 2020, and then the we also heard that the government is planning to construct two ports in the south region of Nigeria. This is expected to ease these problems.
That's
Yeah,
serious. That's serious because I don't know how optimistic one can be, seeing that over 40% of businesses have vacated that area
yeah,
that I hear of so far because of the traffic, stop and everything that's going on there. It doesn't necessarily make it easy for one to do business there. And
okay,
there's also a statement that I see here that was quoted to an estate manager, Mujid Olugbenga. He was quoted by Business Day as saying, or noting that many of the retailers have fled, and the beneficiaries of the exodus are the people in the Adegunsoya mall around that Surulere area. Also in Lagos mainland, unlike Apapa Mall, the vacancy rate there is about 12%, but Apapa Mall is the strongest hit with 40% of that.
yeah,
Let's move from the Papa gridlock. Let's talk about oil and gas. Now, yesterday, President Buhari received a special envoy from the president of Equatorial Guinea at the State House in Abuja. The president, that's Nigeria's president,
mm.
Buhari, lamented lost revenues from the oil and gas sector. Aki, what are the details of what the president was regretting and expressing in the statements at the meeting?
Well, the president is actually right because when you look at Nigeria, for instance, you want to look at the oil reserve compared to the gas reserve that we have in Nigeria. So currently we have about 37 billion barrels of oil reserves, while we also have up to 202 trillion centric feet of gas reserves. So if you look at the oil reserve, for instance, when you compare Nigeria to other countries in the world, Nigeria is therefore among the top 10 in terms of production and in terms of the reserve level that we have. That's for crude oil.
Mm.
So, but although we are the giant of Africa when it comes to that, but when you look at the reserve level for gas, 202 trillion centric feet, you see that Nigeria is really big on gas. For instance, we are the ninth largest company with the highest reserve in the world.
You mean country, yeah.
Yes,
Mm.
in the world. And also, when you look at the value of the reserve, so for instance, oil price as of yesterday was $61 per barrel.
Mm.
So by the time you multiply with the reserve that we are going to be having a total of around 2.3 trillion US dollars. Compared to gas, uh, a centric feet gas is costing around 2.6 dollar. That's a centric feet. So by
Mm.
the time you multiply with the reserve level we have, that's giving you around 500 trillion US dollars.
Mm.
So you can see that the difference is really clear.
Mm.
Despite the fact that the gas is the price of gas is lower,
Mm.
is still very much bigger than the crude oil. So the problem is actually we don't have the infrastructures to capture this gas. So a lot of this gas are being wasted, they are fled away. So that's the major issue. And then another issue is the regulatory problem. The government is trying to regulate prices, and this is not attractive to foreign investors. Since you are trying to hold down the possibility for profit, investors will not really want to come because the prices are regulated. So as such, there's a need for government to look into that in order to attract foreign investors into that space.
So to tap the gas
To
and
tap
I
that
mean,
gas.
utilize that resource.
Yes.
Because if you're flaring it and you're wasting it, you don't have the capacity to, make use of that
Yeah.
resource, make use of the gas. So why not, make the environment conducive for
Exactly.
businesses to thrive, to
Exactly.
come in?
Yeah, that's the issue. That's
Mm.
the major issue.
Wow, interesting. Fola from Lekki says it's cubic feet,
Yes, cubic feet.
not centric. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
Benga Kamu reacting to the first story said there are still businesses in Apapa. Benga, yes, they are. All right, let's move on. Thank you very much. Let's move on to this next one from oil and gas to insurance. African Reinsurance Corporation is reportedly investing $90 to boost insurance firms in Nigeria. Why so much money? Akin, what's this about?
Well, before now, they have a total investment of $5 billion in Africa.
Okay.
They are just trying to help insurance companies to gain ground. This additional $90 million invested in Nigeria is to help insurance company improve their capacity. You know, with this level of capital, they can expose themselves to more risk. Insure more industries and the
Mm.
likes of that. So it's really a good news for the insurance sector of the country.
Mm. Does that apply to, or does that imply that the money that was given to them earlier, the billions you just called,
Yeah.
though that they utilized it well? Because
Well,
when you're giving money and you do great work, they give you more. So is that what it infers?
I think Nigerian insurance company are not really performing like other insurance companies in the world.
That's right.
Because of the culture of Nigerians, we don't really believe in insurance. A lot of people don't believe in insurance. So people believe that they can't face any risk of such.
Mm.
So that has really been affecting insurance company performance.
Mm.
However, there are still some insurance companies that are doing well. So the additional fund that is granted to them now, we further help them to attract or take more risk. For instance, agriculture, they could enter into the agricultural business, insure products,
Hmm.
just to expand their capacity.
Mm. Especially now that we're encouraging farmers to go into mechanized farming.
Yes.
They could take advantage of that, and also looking at expanding it to cover retail markets. Now we see that most recently we've heard about fire disasters at certain markets in different parts of
Yeah.
the country.
Yes.
If certain shops like this, because we discussed this 2 weeks ago, if most of these shops are insured and they feel the need or they understand the importance of insuring their goods and services, their wares and markets,
Yeah.
that could improve the insurance climate in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But what do you blame this on? Is it a matter of sensitization? Is it that most people do not understand what insurance is about, or it's just because they have trust issues, for these insurance companies?
I think it's not really a matter of well, we could say to an extent is a problem from the fact that people don't really understand what it entails. A lot of people there are not really in the aspect of insuring their goods and the like. So this is really affecting us. It's more like a culture.
Mm.
People just don't believe that, oh, I could be exposed to this kind of risk.
Mm.
And
They'll say over my dead body.
exactly,
Yeah, God
exactly.
forbid.
So
we'll pray against
yeah,
it.
so that's the problem.
Wow, interesting. Which is similar to what Prince says. Prince says his culture and religion is the problem of insurance in Nigeria. So how do we break through that norm? Daniel, please add your names to your messages when you send them. Daniel says insurance is an issue of trust. Thank you, Daniel, and that's exactly right. Okay, let's move on from insurance to real estate. Here on Business Express 91, you can join the conversation by sending the messages on WhatsApp 0809 444 0981. Daniel adds, people do not expect insurance companies to pay up when things go wrong. So it still comes back to
Yeah.
the trust issue. In real estate, Business Day is reporting that land title delays may disrupt the Lagos State government's ambition to build 1 million affordable homes annually. Do you see this as a major concern, or how do you see this playing out? Because if Lagos State government decides to build a million affordable homes every year,
Yeah.
how do you see this happening?
Well, that's just the problem because the state government are not willing to give up on their land. Is seen as their most prized asset, so they are not easily willing to cooperate with the central government, in terms of this. So that's what has been causing the delay in issuing the
Land title.
land title
Mm.
ownership document. So
But
it's
how
really
long does it usually take to get one?
well. It depends. It
Mm.
depends really. I can't really say it. Some people may get it. Nigerian system.
Yes, I mean
So
the last time I asked one real estate developer, he said 6 months. In some cases, some special cases, and being special means best case scenario,
yes,
6 months, and so some say 6 to 9 months. Some say it goes beyond that. But why why
yes.
why should it be that hard?
Well, I don't know. It shouldn't be so. It
Hmm.
shouldn't be so. But it's just what's happening in Nigeria, the Nigerian system.
Very interesting. Is that the federal government's ambitions annually to beef up the housing issue, or meet up the housing targets of 1 million and 1 million houses per year, and initiatives of making affordable housing available to many Nigerians may hit the rocks if the sub-national governments continue to delay land titles. Making this easy could be done through effective systems being put in place. When I say systems, I don't mean human driven systems, so probably technology driven systems to make sure the title, land titles are issued
Exactly.
faster than they usually are. Well, Fashola, minister, actually mentioned that to drive the initiative forward, the states should be able to provide titles, land, and other necessary approvals, and as at when due, I may add. Ahmed Dangiwa, who's the managing director of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, told Business Day in this report that a scheme initiated by the federal government is geared towards driving housing availability to Nigerians. And Rotus has been very vocal about the need into ensuring that we have as many houses available to as many Nigerians as possible. Finally, concerning the equities markets, are there any stocks you like, Aki? I barely asked this question.
Well, recently we have noticed that the stock market is starting to, gain, unlike previous months where we have recorded a lot of losses, especially during the most part of this year.
Mm.
So, but with the recent CBS policy, which restricted certain individuals from participating in the OMO and Treasury bill
Mm.
securities, has made people look for alternatives. So one of these is the domestic equities market. People have been coming in, taking positions, and this is actually the right time to start buying fundamentally sound stocks. So
Well, what do you call fundamentally sound stocks?
of course, you are looking at before you invest in a company, you are looking at the performance. Has it been profitable?
Mm.
Looking at different ratios to ensure that okay, what's their leverage, liquidity ratio. Looking at different performance,
Mm. Metrics,
metrics
yes.
to just determine, oh, is this company actually? So, for instance, if a company has been doing well for the past 10 years, for instance, and is paying dividend, if you're an investor that love to get dividends, you could just when you do there's a way we do the estimation, we value the company and then decide is it overvalued or is it undervalued? Can I take position? And so you could take position in stocks that have been, they have the stocks that have performed, in the past till present. You could take position in them
Mm.
because they are really underpriced right now
Mm.
because of investor sentiment towards the equities market. So
So before you buy stocks, you're advising that we look through this period of time, look to the past 10 years based on the performance of our
not
company.
really 10 years,
How long?
not really. It's really subjective. It's
Okay.
really subjective. For instance, you could say 5. It depends on other factors.
Mm.
Okay, you might get a news that okay, this company is acquiring another company, and
Okay.
then it will lead to an improvement in their revenue.
And then you can make your projections
You can
based
make
on
your
that. But
projections.
is this information readily available?
Well, that's why you need to, as an investor, you need to meet your
Stockbroker.
advisors, your
Okay.
stockbrokers,
Mm.
you know, to advise you on, okay, which stock can I, buy right now, which ones are undervalued, But what we do is that we do a risk profiling for each, potential investors. Okay, we like to know what are your sources of income and
Oh,
get
okay.
other information from you,
Okay.
and then we like to know the level of risk you can take. Some people can wait for the long. Some people want to get the profit in the long run, while some are looking for a short-term profit.
Most Nigerians want sharp, sharp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Let me invest and get my money back in
exactly.
6 months to 1 year.
So you have to be very careful because the stock market is volatile.
Okay.
You could gain 10% in a day, and you could
And you
also
could
lose
lose 20% in a day.
No,
too.
you can't. You
You
can't
can't lose
lose
that much.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so you could lose also 10% in a day. So
Yeah.
you have to be careful with which stock you are buying. So you just don't buy stock because everybody's buying this stock. You need an expert advice, expert opinion.
What is the appropriate amount you'd recommend for an investor to put in a first investment?
Well, depending on the level of your your risk appetite.
Okay.
So, but you're usually advised to start with something you won't really, feel bad if you lose it. So you have to play safe. That's the main thing.
Thank you very much, Akintoye Orilakun from Afri Invest. You've been really clear on your terms and explanations. Thank you so much. Ade says, how much do you say is being invested in insurance sector and by who? Did we say any amount?
90 million Africa Re.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Yinka says government wanting to build 1 million affordable homes. Well, normally you should read you should read some headlines and move on. Because it's a lie. He said, how many homes did Fashola himself build as a governor and a minister combined? It's just an excuse for incompetence. That's what Yinka thinks. What's up with the use of individual pension contributions as percentage commitment for mortgages? Story. Thank you, Inka. He's our pessimist on the show, but he's very, very creative with his words, actually. But we'll do this, continue this conversation on social media. So use that hashtag Business Express 981. Akinto Yeyolakun has been wonderful on the show. Thank you very much again for being here. This is his first time on the show, so show him some love. You can find him on social media on Twitter. Are you on Twitter?
Well, I don't use my Twitter.
Oh, yeah, a social media person.
No, I'm a social media person.
Where? Instagram?
Instagram, yeah.
Okay.
Facebook.
I want to show them your 5 faces. All right, let's talk travel next here on Smooth 98.1. Are a bit scared of